This is the DTV Digest, the podcast that brings you news and reviews of films which didn't make it to the cinema. And now, here's your host, Mike Parkin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DTV Digest. I'm your host, Mike Parkin, and joining me tonight is Stephen Lockridge.
Hello.
On tonight's show, we've got three main reviews, kicking off with Shattered. Then we've got The Return and Rhino. Our short shot this week is called We Are Not Safe Here, and our DTV Throwback is The Crossbreed. So without further ado, let's crack on. Our first review then is Shattered. A rich divorcee called Chris falls in love with a mysterious woman called Sky, who becomes his live-in helper when he is attacked and injured during a carjacking gone wrong. However, it isn't long before Chris starts to suspect something is not quite right with his new girlfriend, especially when her previous roommate turns up dead. We're back in very familiar territory here, Steve. It's the old person incapacitated and stuck within a single location, which we've reviewed a few times now. So we had C for Me, which was very good. Wired Shut, which was very similar to this as well. Recently, we've done films like Held, also set in a single location, and The Boy Behind the Door was another one. Similar sort of thing. You know, it's all this, you know, large house with people sort of stalking each other inside. How did you get on with it though?
It was okay. Not too bad. I mean, it's kind of like you know, like you said, we've seen it a million times before. But there's quite a few decent twists in it. The John Malkovich character was a bit out of nowhere, really, and just kind of there for bumping off measures, you know, as is. But I did like the twist with the, you know, ex-wife turning up and what the actual plan was and what they were after. And nice to see Frank Grillo turn up as well. Always good to see him. And it's a bit generic, you know, like these things kind of are. But like I say, a couple of nice little twists in it, and all in all, not too bad. It was okay. It was enjoyable. Yeah,
I agree. It's a quite, you know, it's a very polished film. The location's great. You know, this guy's sort of big, you know, almost like a ski lodge kind of place, isn't it? You know, it's sort of given its location. It's another one of these ones with all the electronic locks that can be controlled from a single location as well. But yeah, I thought it mapped out things quite nicely. It revealed, you know, at least part of its hand quite early, which I was quite surprised at. You know, I thought it was going to be more sort of is she, isn't she kind of thing. But it just, you know, you just get to a certain point and go, oh yeah, I'm the bad guy here. You know, more or less. You know, it doesn't sort of mess around, and then it's sort of more to do with sort of his plight more than anything else.
But I like, you know, like you say, you've got more than just her, if you know what I mean. You know, you've got a different angle on it in that kind of sense. It's not just one person.
It's not just like the hand that rocks the cradle kind of situation. There's more to it. Yeah, definitely. And it's not afraid to get a bit gory at times as well. You know, so there's an electric drill that gets used. Quite nicely. and you know, as you say, the you know, his sort of ex-wife turning up as well added an extra amount of peril, because you could almost imagine him just, you know, this is the sort of guy who would probably just out of sheer spite just not give up any information, you know. So just it wouldn't give him the, you know, the satisfaction. But you know, adding that extra sort of element of peril just, you know, sort of makes him a bit more sort of proactive in his situation. There's not really a lot more we could say about this. I did like John Malkovich's character in it. It's interesting when you see actors like that. You know, it's like Richard Dreyfuss, you know, turning up in films, and you know, almost the two actors could be interchangeable at this point. really,
well,
in their careers.
One thing that did surprise me is that he's actually an executive producer on it as well, which I thought was, maybe strange. I don't know. He seems to be doing quite a lot of these, DTV stuff at the minute. What was the one in the supermarket?
Oh yeah, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
The one with
Tay Diggs.
Tay Diggs, that's right. Was it Tay Diggs? Or was it it's the guy from the Fast and Furious films?
Yeah, I thought it was him.
That's not Tay Diggs, no.
Oh,
it's the other guy. Anyway. This is we're gonna have to edit this, mate.
Yeah, I know.
Hang on, Fast and Furious. Tyrese Gibson.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Tyrese Gibson is the guy you think of. Anyway, no worries. But yeah, it was you're right. He's in the sort of similar sort of thing again there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is pretty solid. Directed by a guy called Luis Prieto. Just murdered his name. Spanish director. He also did the Halle Berry film Kidnap. But yeah, I think this is a solid entry in that sort of genre. You can see what's going to happen, really, to a certain degree. But
yeah, I mean,
it's just very well made.
The only bit that got me was she kills someone who's helping her out, if you know what I mean. That bit kind of threw me. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's straightforward. You know what's coming, but a couple of nice little tweaks on the genre, on the format, and it was okay.
It's pleasing on the eye. It doesn't, it's not boring at all. But it is sitting in a genre we've seen a lot of recently. That's the only real sort of downside I can see of this. On that note, how are you going to score it?
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a solid 7, definitely. 2 7s for Shattered. Go check it out. Our next review is The Return. When his father dies, Roger returns to his childhood home to attend the funeral, alongside his girlfriend Beth and best friend Jordan. However, whilst going through his parents' things, he starts to unlock memories which have been suppressed for over a decade, leading him to believe there is a supernatural presence in the house. I was all ready to dismiss this from its opening scene. The prologue at the beginning is absolute wank. It's horribly edited, and it showcases exactly the sort of non-scary CGI monster effects which I despise. The sort of like the wispy ghost sort, sort of fog monster kind of thing, And oh god, this is going to be a chore to sit through. But then I actually engaged with the 3 leads. I thought the actors were really good. The script was actually pretty decent. The banter between them worked. And it kind of skipped over certain bits. There was a bit where they sort of they went to a gas station, and I was because I knew nothing about the film going into it, I should say, so I was expecting something to happen at the gas station, but no, it just carried on, and eventually, even though I still hated some of the special effects, this fits into another genre we've covered, where sort of horror and hard science sort of cross over with each other.
Yeah.
And I really dug it. I really did like it after a while. Even the flashbacks started to make sense as part of the story. So and especially when this sort of skinned version turns up, I was thinking, all right, okay, this is almost like Hellraiser at this point now, which is really, really interesting. How do you get on with this one?
I don't think I got on quite as much as you. I mean, I did enjoy it. And like I say, I thought the three leads were great. The banter was great, and it just kind of lost me a little bit near the end. To be honest with you, when you find out what exactly is happening and what's going on, that's when it kind of threw me a little bit. I kind of lost it slightly with it then. You know, kind of like that, the one where they're driving around, then next minute she's got a time machine hidden in that room. Do you remember? You know, it kind of just came out of nowhere to me. But the way they explained it and did kind of work, but I just don't like that kind of meshing genres, if you know what I mean, like horror and this, you know, it doesn't. Sometimes it does it okay, but sometimes I don't like it. And this one did it okay. I did the main guy. I was racking my brain what we'd seen him in before.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't find it on IMDb. I was looking for ages, just couldn't find it. And he was in that Puppet Killer, weren't he?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I knew I'd seen him in something. And because to be fair, it was made about a couple of years ago. Remember, 2020. So it took a while coming over here. But I think if people, you know, watch it and just go with it, I think a lot of people will get some decent enjoyment out of it. To be fair. Yeah,
absolutely. I really did like this in the end. I thought the characters worked, the story did work. You know, you have to let it sort of breathe a little bit to sort of to understand where it's coming from. And you know, as much as I hate the fog monster effect, I really like the other version.
Yeah,
you know, the Debbie version, and that bit especially when you have the flashback with the psychiatrist who's sort of like talking to his younger sister, and she's explaining who Debbie is and what, you know, that bit I thought was very good indeed. So yeah, I'm totally on board with this one, even with my misgivings about the opening scene. You know, so some films grab you right from the beginning. This one almost turned me off, but I'm glad I stuck with it. And I thought it was very satisfying overall. And on that note, I'm giving this another 7 out of 10. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'll give it a 7.
Awesome. Okay, another 2 7s for The Return. Go check it out. Our next review is Rhino. Following a tour in Afghanistan in the 1990s, a young man returns to his home in Ukraine and runs into trouble with some local thugs and has to join another criminal gang in order to get himself out of bother. Now nicknamed Rhino, he slowly carves a name for himself among the other street thugs. Okay. First thing to note, Steve, is this is a Ukraine film, which is very interesting. Set during the 90s, sort of not long after, you know, the fall of the Berlin Wall and destruction, or the sort of the abandonment of the USSR as a concept, finding their own sort of sovereignty as it is. And my God, what a mess of a country this place was back then. This sort of kind of plays out a bit like, you know, it's the Ukraine version of Goodfellas, basically, but with the violence turned up to 11. It's like every character is Joe Pesci, basically. You know, our main character, Rhino, is a fucking thug. He really is. It's not someone you can call a hero. You know, he's not the hero of the story at all. He just happens to be the protagonist. He does some pretty nasty things along with his mates, and some nasty things happen to him. It's very well made. The opening sequence, which sort of goes through his sort of formative years, you know, getting into fights as a kid, growing up with his older brother, you know, and his sister, and just the way the camera sort of segues from one scene to the next is sort of, you know, is very seamless. I thought that was really well done. Then it sort of settles down when he comes back from Afghanistan. But he's a fucking idiot. You know.
Yeah.
The whole thing could have, you know, his whole life could have been completely different, except for one stupid bloody decision of, you know, because he's such a hard-headed idiot. But yeah, it's an interesting film with some good scenes, but it's a slog because it is just so pessimistic and bleak. Yeah, I'm gathering you're on the same page as me with this one, Steve.
Yeah, pretty much. It's grim. There's no lightness in the film whatsoever, really. It, like you say, the beginning bit, it's well done, but to me, it didn't really add anything to the film.
No,
it's just,
not really.
You know,
I suppose what it's saying is that he had a normal upbringing. You know, it's not like Criminal Minds or something where you can pinpoint the exact moment he became a sadistic bastard. You know, there was nothing in his childhood really that sort of would suggest that that's how he was going to turn out. Really,
it was a tough childhood. You know, not. You know, he's not got everything he wants or anything like that. But it's just, I don't know. He is a dick. That's the thing. You don't feel any.
There's no sympathy for him at all.
No,
no. You know, even when he's getting his feet nailed to the floor, it's like, well, you brought this on yourself, mate.
Yeah. You know, there's no sympathy. I didn't feel any connection. I mean, I know a lot of people like this kind of gang warfare type.
It's very sort of like, you know, it's like the British sort of hooligan movies, isn't it? You know, it's a film.
Yeah, in a way,
yeah,
that kind of style. But it's just too fucking grim. It was not boring, but just nothing exceptional apart from that opening 5-10 minute montage or whatever, and then after that, it's just it's a slog. It is a slog. You know, it's not. It's not like something like, you put it that way. It's just
no. It reminds me of some of this sort of modern Italian stuff as well, like Gomorrah. You know, it's that sort of it's the mundanity of this sort of criminal life. You know, these guys aren't any better off than anyone else. You know, really.
No.
You know, they haven't. It's not like Goodfellas in the way that, you know, they got the money and everything, they got the glitzy cars. You know, there's nothing here. There's no real money for them to sort of grab hold of. They're just being violent dicks, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and like especially, you know, like the guys who are with him, they're just not knobs as well. There's no redeeming characters in the whole thing, and I think that's the issue with it.
Yeah,
I think
even the cops, isn't it? It's because there's a scene he gets pulled into like the police station, and the guy sort of, and I wasn't sure where that was going exactly. It was a case of him just shaking him down, saying, "You need to pay us money now," you know.
Yeah.
Or was he sort of suggesting that he become a snitch? You know. Yeah. Either way, he's not happy about the situation. The only sort of funny bit I found was after his, you know, there's one bit where he ends up in hospital, and the doctors sort of go to the police, is sort of going, well, don't you think you should put a guard on the door or something? So no, why? You go, well, you know, people try to kill him, they might try and come back. Go, oh, I'm sure he's fine. He'll be fine. Yeah, although it was quite amusing.
Saves us a job, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't recommend it, to be fair to most people, but
it's going to find its audience, that's for sure. Or you know, hopefully it will, and hopefully, or rather, the audience is aimed at are the ones that probably don't read subtitles, you know, or don't watch foreign films. So, you know, I'll maybe bark up the wrong tree. Who knows? But yeah, it will find its audience, I'm sure. But it's not for me. From the sounds of it, it's not quite for you. And on that note, how are you going to score it?
I'll give it a 5.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 6 overall because, again, you know, it's well made. It's technically well put together. You know, the lead actor don't think he was really acting much. You know, he's incredibly stoic. You know, shows no emotion at all at any stage in the film. It's you know, it's almost like it's Ivan Drago kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you might as well have had Dolph Lundgren playing it. It had more range. But you know, if you like that sort of violent gangster kind of thing, check it out for sure. But not for us. We're giving it a 5 and a 6. Our short shot this week is We Are Not Safe Here. 3 friends out camping become engrossed in a scary story and soon can't tell the difference between reality and fantasy. I really like this. I could certainly see myself being in that situation. Definitely. So we got three friends sitting around a campfire. One of them starts telling a ghost story about, what's it called, the Mimisa or Mimimisa?
Mimica.
Yeah, Mimica.
I think it was.
Let's go with that. Some mythical creature who can mimic any sort of voice or any sound to try and trick people into, you know, heading its way. They managed to sort of, you know, scare one of their friends half to death with a Bluetooth speaker, and then settle down for the night. One of them gets up to go to the loo, doesn't come back for an hour, and then there's something outside the tent. But is it their friend or is it something else? And this, I like this because it is quite meta. You know, they have a bit of a discussion about, well, how could you be so stupid not to, you know, how could you be so stupid to fall for such a silly trick in the first place? You know, and they sort of talk about, well, what I would do is ask him personal questions that only he would know, you know, not things like that.
Yeah.
And then they find themselves in that exact situation, and you know, it is very convincing in that you just don't know. Is it the friends mucking around, or is it something else? You're kind of leaning towards it being something else, but at the same time, it could just be a surprise. It's just me, you know. And right up until the last minute, you're not entirely sure what's going on.
No, yeah, I really enjoyed this. To be fair, I thought it was absolutely cracking. There's at least 2 or 3 big jump scares that actually work for once. You know. First one, I absolutely shit myself. But like you say, it does very meta, but it plays on it really well, and it's one of them that you know, that leaves you guessing right until the last second, you know, and it does build the tension in that, and it takes a tiny bit to get going, you know. They're all sat around the campfire, and then you finally get, like, you know, the story, the ghost story or whatever, and then from then on it just slowly builds the tension up and just plays it really, really well. Thought it's well shot, to be fair. You've got, it's one of them 2 locations outside and inside the tent, and that's it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's all it needs, you know. It really, I just thought this was really, really impressive. Really did like this.
So this is directed by a guy called Chris Cox, and the sound effects were done using something called Artlist, which gets a plug right at the beginning of the film. And yeah, I think they did a brilliant job with the sound effects, because a lot of it is, you know, based on just the sound, you know, what you can hear, what you start imagining is outside the tent. Yeah, it works very, very well indeed.
Yeah, really, especially with, like, normally horror shorts, I'm not a big fan of it's normally just like one little jump or something like that. But this one, I was really, really impressed with this one. Really good.
Yeah, it works really, really well. So that is We Are Not Safe Here. We will put a link to this in the footnotes below. I believe also they've got Chris Cox has got some other films on here, something called Sweet Dreams, but I'm sure that we'll probably be checking out in the near future. But that is We Are Not Safe Here. Go check it out in the footnotes. Our DTV throwback this week is Crossbreed. In the near future, the president of the new United States of America hires a team of military veterans to retrieve an alien bioweapon from a top secret research facility orbiting the Earth. I need to make an apology right off the bat, because this isn't the film I thought it was when I chose it. I was actually thinking of another film called The Hybrid, which unfortunately isn't available at the moment. But as soon as it does become available, I would like us to cover that one. So, and I knew as soon as I hit play, I was like, oh no, this is the wrong film. It's not the film I meant for us to cover this week. So, so apologies that you had to sit through this very bizarre, low budget alien clone thing. So there are a couple of names in here, which are quite interesting. We've got Daniel Baldwin as this sort of like presidential aide, and we got Vivica A. Fox as the president, and also a guy called Stink Fisher as our main character. Yep, as Riker, who's running this bar basically and gets pulled in for one last job. I thought he was actually pretty decent overall, especially his opening scene when he's sort of sorting out some drunken idiots at his bar on the moon. I thought he was pretty decent. He's got a pretty long IMDb sort of filmography, so he's getting lots of work, which is good. So I enjoyed him. This is some good establishing special effects going on as well. We've also got Vernon Wells. It sort of turns up for an extended cameo, which was interesting.
I was quite surprised at that. To be fair,
the problem is the middle section of the film, which is people creeping around corridors for a lot of it, and then arguing with each other, and having to wear, I don't know. It's like
looks like pipe cleaners, doesn't it? Silvery pipe cleaners on the face.
It's pipe cleaners and sort of like those weird sort of sticky note things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was meant to have been an effect. That they were going to enhance that with CGI, but they never got either. Didn't have the budget for it or something. So. But I don't know. But overall, this isn't terrible. It's not great for any, but it was.
I thought it was fun, to be honest. It's one of them that kind of knew exactly what it was and didn't shy away from the fact. And I mean, there's one bit. Was it called Degenerate?
So the blonde one.
Yeah, I'm like. I'm sat there. As soon as I thought, he looks like Guile out of Street Fighter 2. But then they bring that up. They actually bring it up. He's like, Sonic Boom and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. Tong is really in cheek in this one. And I mean, they're basically just creeping around on. It looks like a boat, to be fair, like a warship or something like that. But I thought the banter between them was actually quite funny. It worked quite well. And even, the rookie newbie stepping up and, showing his worth to become part of the team, I thought that worked well. And
even the end, even the final scene, because normally you're expecting sort of huge double cross or something, but, actually, it's like, no, actually got paid.
I mean, I was kind of but I mean, said that they did still get stuffed a bit.
True. Yeah.
Because he did say he'd give him 20 million, but it doesn't matter. We'll just give you 10. So but it was just a bit of fun. I mean, compare it to that the the one we watched the other week in the Arctic. It's it's kind of the same.
Oh yeah.
Same vein as that, but a hell of a lot better. That,
absolutely. Yeah,
that was dog shite. That one, that was terrible. But this
is all right.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
The woman playing the Crossbreed is a woman called Devani Pin, who, again, she's got a decent sized IMDb filmography, and it's a name I'm familiar with, but I couldn't quite sort of pin down where I've heard it before, but I've definitely it's a name I've definitely come across in various films. She's in Hollow Point. It's the one that sort of jumped out when I was having a look a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is it's not terrible, as I said. It is a bit of fun. You do need to sort of overlook a little bit. Well, that's interesting. So Brandon Slagle is the director of this. He also did Attack of the Unknown, which we covered a while back. It's part of the main show.
That was the Richard Grieco one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Richard Grieco one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I liked it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I like that one.
That was awful. Only Tyler Reid turned up about 2 seconds in Victorian clothes or something weird like that. Yeah, I hated that.
Seen worse, so it's fine.
Well,
yeah. Anyway, this is okay. It's on Freevee, which is what used to be IMDb TV, and it was relatively decent. So, but it's just not the film I wanted to cover, which is annoying. I got it confused. Similar name, hybrid, crossbreed. There you go. Okay, and that is the end of this week's show. So we don't score the throwbacks, but we do recommend you check them out. So thanks to Steve for joining me on this rather brief episode tonight. We're definitely missing Richard's input, but he'll be back on the next show, which will be our 200th episode. So make sure you tune in for that. So thanks for Steve for joining me tonight.
No probs.
And check out our films that we're covering, especially The Return. I really did like that one. Other than that, thank you for listening. Tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to the DTV Digest. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tune in again next time.